The convenience store on Washington Street in Albany, New York, fell into an eerie hush when a small voice broke through the hum of fluorescent lights. "I promise to pay when I grow up." The security camera overhead whirred faintly. Jonathan Roumie, a 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard, turned toward the sound, dressed in a dark crew-neck t-shirt under a black blazer, a gold cross necklace gleaming on his chest. His calm, introspective expression carried the quiet strength that had touched millions as Jesus in The Chosen. Known for shying away from the spotlight off-screen, Jonathan now found himself staring at a girl no older than 8, clutching a baby wrapped in a faded towel. The girl, Lily, had tangled black hair tied in uneven puffs, her hands dirty, her t-shirt stained, and her jeans torn at the knees. Her large brown eyes held a fierce determination, though her face showed exhaustion. The baby in her arms, Noah, about 1 year old with light brown skin and sparse curly hair, whimpered, hungry and cold. A bitter December wind howled outside, but the chill inside the store cut deeper. The cashier, a middle-aged woman with blonde hair tied in a high ponytail, snapped, "Hey, this isn't a daycare. Get out." Lily flinched, tightening her grip on Noah, her shoulders trembling not from fear, but from shame as she turned to leave. Jonathan stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "She's not stealing," she asked politely. The cashier looked up, startled. "Mr. Roumie, I mean, look at her. She doesn't belong here." Jonathan's gaze was steady, piercing. "I'll decide that." Customers began to notice. A woman by the magazine rack whispered, "That's the girl who sleeps under the Pearl Street Bridge." A man near the cooler added, "Heard her dad's in jail, and her mom's not right in the head. Poor kid." Jonathan crouched beside Lily, still frozen by the baby formula aisle. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Lily," she said, eyes on the floor. "And the baby?" "My brother, Noah. He's 1. Jonathan's voice softened further. "You walked here in this cold." Lily nodded. "We ran out of milk yesterday. Noah keeps crying. I waited till Mama fell asleep to sneak out. She screams sometimes, and I didn't want her to follow." Jonathan glanced at the cashier, who now fumbled with a pack of gum, avoiding his gaze. "Do you have a coat?" he asked. Lily shook her head. "I wrapped Noah in the blanket. It's all we've got that's warm." Jonathan stood, his mind racing calculations, decisions, the kind that had once shaped his career now focused on a far greater need. What do you do when a child stands before you? Braver than anyone you've ever met. "We're getting more than milk," he said. "Stay with me." He grabbed a gallon of whole milk, infant formula, bread, baby wipes, and canned soup, adding diapers and thermal socks, ignoring the curious stares from other shoppers. At the checkout, Lily tiptoed to place the milk on the counter, her trembling hands treating it like treasure. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "But I'll pay you back when I grow up. I mean it." Jonathan nodded solemnly. "I don't doubt you for a second." Outside in the parking lot, the wind bit harder. Lily blinked rapidly, her eyes stinging with unshed tears. "Where do you stay?" Jonathan asked. She hesitated. "It's okay," he said. "I won't tell." Lily looked up, her gaze wary but honest. "Under the bridge, Pearl and State. There's a dry corner behind a pipe. I keep Noah warm with newspapers, and I make sure nobody sees us." A woman nearby gasped, but when Jonathan turned, she looked away, embarrassed. He faced Lily again. "Want me to walk you back?" She paused, then shrugged. "People yell when they see me with him, but you can come if you want." Just don't talk loud. Mama gets scared easy. As they walked, Jonathan felt a weight settle on his shoulders, not the kind you pass off, but the kind that demands you act, because walking away would haunt you more than staying. "You cold?" he asked. Lily didn't answer, but her teeth chattered. Noah whimpered softly. Jonathan slipped off his wool coat, draping it over her small frame. She looked shocked, but didn't resist. They crossed the block in silence, the Pearl Street Bridge looming ahead. Cars roared overhead, the air thick with the smell of oil, damp concrete, and trash. Behind a row of rusted shopping carts and a plastic tarp, a woman lay curled on a pile of tattered blankets, her face hidden. She stirred at their footsteps, sitting up abruptly, her eyes wild and unfocused. Emma, about 35, had light brown skin and tangled black hair loosely tied, wearing a worn gray sweater and faded jeans. "Mama," Lily called gently. "It's just me and a man. He helped us." Emma's voice slurred. "You weren't supposed to leave." Jonathan stayed back, respectful. "She was just trying to help," he said softly. Emma's gaze softened as Lily handed her Noah, who reached out with tiny hands. "You can go now," Lily said. "We're okay. I just needed the milk." But Jonathan didn't move. "Lily," he said, "can I come back tomorrow?" She tilted her head. "Why?" He paused, a clarity washing over him, because someone should. That night, Jonathan didn't sleep. In his sleek Albany penthouse, automatic lights flicked on, illuminating polished surfaces and cold, empty spaces. He thought of Lily, humming softly under the bridge, keeping Noah warm in his coat. The man who'd moved millions through his on-screen faith now realized the greatest thing he could be was needed. The next morning, he left early, swapping his blazer for a navy sweater and jeans, carrying a bag of pastries and a new coat for Lily. The Pearl Street Bridge was unchanged trash in the gutters, traffic growling overhead. He found Lily's corner the plastic tarp, the cart of broken toys, and Lily, curled on a flattened cardboard box. Noah tucked against her like a second heartbeat. Her eyes snapped open at his footsteps, then softened when she saw him. "You came back," she said, her voice hoarse from the cold. "I said I would," Jonathan replied, handing her a thermos, hot cocoa, not too sweet. Lily opened it, sipped, and sighed, her eyes lighting up. "Tastes like Christmas." He smiled faintly. That was the plan. A rustle behind the tarp made him tense. Emma emerged, her hair a mess, her eyes wary but tired. "You again?" she said, her voice rough. "I brought breakfast," Jonathan said. Emma nodded but stood like someone braced for a fight. "You with the city social services?" she asked. "No," Jonathan said. "Just me." She eyed the paper bag in his hand. "What's that? Egg sandwiches, 2 blankets." Emma snorted. "Rich folks think blankets fix everything." "They don't," Jonathan agreed. "But they help." He set the bag down and stepped back. Emma grabbed a sandwich, sniffed it, and handed one to Lily. "You shouldn't be here," she said, biting into hers. "People like you don't belong in places like this." "Neither do you," Jonathan replied. Emma stopped chewing, her gaze sharp but pained. "You don't know a damn thing about where I belong." "I don't," he said softly. "But I'd like to." She shook her head. Why, Jonathan looked at Lily, then Noah, then back at Emma. "Because your daughter trusted me. And last night, when I left, it didn't feel right." Emma's eyes flickered. "You feel guilty," she said. "You'll bring food for a few days, some coats, then you'll vanish. They always do." "I'm not them," Jonathan said. Lily broke in, her voice small but firm. "Mama, He talked to me like a person, not like those people handing out socks at the shelters. Jonathan let her words hang, saying nothing more. Emma sat against the wall, pulling a blanket tighter. You got kids? No, Jonathan said. My wife passed 10 years ago. No kids. Lonely. He nodded once. Sometimes. Silence stretched, broken only by Noah's soft sucking on his fingers and the roar of cars above. You still want to help? Emma asked, her voice thin. Yes. Then don't just bring food. Bring a way out. Jonathan's chest tightened. That was the real ask, not sandwiches, not milk, a way out. It wasn't small. I don't want handouts, Emma said. I want a chance. I want to shower without a hose. I want to sleep without watching my back. I get it, Jonathan said. He looked around the damp concrete, the forgotten stories. There's a motel 3 blocks away. I can get a room for a week. Warm bed, hot shower, locked door. Emma stared, her eyes searching for a catch. What's the deal? No deal, he said. You don't even have to thank me. Just give Lily and Noah a night on clean sheets. She was quiet for a long time, then nodded. All right, we'll go. They gathered their few belongings. Jonathan called his assistant, booking a room and arranging toiletries. As they walked to the motel, Lily held his hand, walking beside him like it was the most natural thing. Before entering the lobby, she tugged his sleeve. Mr. Jonathan, you didn't have to come back, but I'm glad you did. He squeezed her hand. So am I. As the automatic doors slid open, leading them into warmth and clean beds, Jonathan knew this wasn't temporary. Something bigger had begun. The morning air stung Jonathan Roumie's lungs as he stepped out of his black SUV on Washington Street in Albany. New York, locking the door behind him. Gone was the polished blazer. Today, the 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length, wavy, dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard wore a simple navy sweater, jeans, and a heavy coat, blending into the gray December dawn. His gold cross necklace glinted faintly, a quiet reminder of the faith that had driven him to return. His sharp, introspective eyes, familiar to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, scanned the Pearl Street Bridge where he'd left Lily, an 8-year-old girl with tangled black hair and fierce determination, and her baby brother Noah, just one, the night before. The memory of Lily's promise, I'll pay you back when I grow up, and her mother Emma's wary defiance lingered, pulling him back to the cold underpass. Jonathan carried a bag of fresh pastries and a small blue coat for Lily, but a knot of unease tightened in his chest. He'd promised to return. But what if they were gone? The bridge loomed ahead, its concrete belly growling with traffic overhead. Trash littered the gutters, and the smell of oil and damp stone hung heavy. Jonathan's heart thudded as he approached the corner Lily had described a dry nook behind a pipe, shielded by a plastic tarp and rusted shopping carts. There, curled on a flattened cardboard box, was Lily. Her light brown skin pale from the cold, her uneven black puffs barely visible under Jonathan's wool coat. Noah, with sparse curly hair and light brown skin, slept against her chest, a tiny heartbeat in the chill. Her eyes snapped open at Jonathan's footsteps, alert like a cornered animal, then softened when she recognized him. You came back, she said, her voice raspy from the cold. I said I would, Jonathan replied, crouching beside her. He handed her a thermos. Hot cocoa. Not too sweet. Lily, her large brown eyes brightening, opened it and sipped, a small smile breaking through. Tastes like Christmas. Jonathan's lips curved faintly. That's the idea. A rustle behind the tarp made him tense. Emma emerged, her 35-year-old light brown skin sallow, her tangled black hair loosely tied, wearing a worn gray sweater and faded jeans. Her eyes, tired but sharp, narrowed. "You again," she said, her voice rough, like someone braced for a fight. "I brought breakfast," Jonathan said, holding up a paper bag. Emma nodded, her posture rigid. "You with the city social services know," he said. "Just me." She eyed the bag. "What's in their egg sandwiches? 2 blankets?" Emma snorted softly. "People like you think blankets fix everything." "They don't," Jonathan agreed, his voice steady. "But they help." He set the bag down and stepped back. Emma grabbed a sandwich, sniffed it, and handed one to Lily, who tore into it hungrily. "You shouldn't be here," Emma said, biting into hers. "People like you don't belong in places like this." "Neither do you," Jonathan replied, his tone calm but direct. Emma stopped chewing, her gaze piercing with pain. "You don't know a thing about where I belong." "I don't," he said softly, "but I'd like to." She shook her head. Why, Jonathan looked at Lily, clutching Noah, then back at Emma. "Because your daughter trusted me. And last night, when I left, it didn't sit right." Emma's eyes flickered. "You feel guilty," she said. "You'll bring food for a few days, some clothes, then disappear. They always do." "I'm not them," Jonathan said, his voice firm. Lily broke in, her small voice steady. "Mama, he talked to me like a person, not like those folks giving out socks at the shelters." Jonathan let her words settle, saying nothing more. Emma sat against the wall, pulling a blanket tighter. "You got kids?" "No," Jonathan said. "My wife passed 10 years ago. No kids." "Lonely." He nodded once. Sometimes, silence stretched, broken only by Noah's soft sucking on his fingers and the roar of cars above. "You still want to help?" Emma asked, her voice thin. "Yes." "Then don't just bring food. Bring a way out." Jonathan's chest tightened. It wasn't just about milk or sandwiches, it was a plea for escape, for a chance at something better. "I don't want charity," Emma said, her eyes fierce. "I want a shot. I want a shower without a public hose. I want to sleep without watching my back." "I understand," Jonathan said. He glanced around the damp concrete, the forgotten stories clinging to the shadows. "There's a motel 3 blocks away. I can get a room for a week. Warm bed, hot shower, locked door." Emma stared, searching for a catch. "What's the deal?" "No deal," he said. "You don't have to thank me. Just give Lily and Noah a night on clean sheets." She was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. "All right. We'll go." They gathered their meager belongings, a few clothes, a broken toy, the blanket wrapped around Noah. Jonathan called his assistant, booking a room at the motel and arranging for toiletries to be delivered. The walk was short but heavy, the cold biting through their thin layers. Lily, wearing Jonathan's oversized coat, held his hand, her small fingers gripping tightly. Noah whimpered in Emma's arms, his light brown face nestled against her. At the motel, the lobby was plain but warm, with faded carpet and a buzzing heater. Before stepping inside, Lily tugged Jonathan's sleeve. "Mr. Jonathan, you didn't have to come back, but I'm glad you did." His throat tightened as he squeezed her hand. "So am I." The motel room was modest, stained walls, a faint smell of old cigarettes, a wheezing heater. But to Lily, it was a palace. She stood in the center, holding Noah, turning slowly as if afraid it would vanish. "It's warm," she whispered, her eyes wide. Jonathan smiled from the doorway. "That's the heater. Old, but it works." Emma dropped their plastic bag of clothes on the dresser, her expression caught between suspicion and exhaustion. She looked out of place, like a bird unsure if the cage was open. Jonathan set a duffel on the table. Shampoo, toothbrushes, towels, diapers, he said. Emma nodded but didn't thank him. He didn't expect her to trust was fragile, and gratitude couldn't be forced. Lily placed Noah on the bed, tucking the comforter around him like she'd done it 100 times. He cooed, the warmth lulling him. Jonathan leaned against the wall. "I'll check back tomorrow. You'll have privacy here. The front desk won't ask questions." Emma's voice was low. "You do this often, no?" he said. "This is new for me." She studied him, her eyes searching. "You don't seem like the type to care this much." "I'm not," he admitted. "But I should have been. A long time ago." Lily reached into her pocket, pulling out a crumpled napkin. "I drew this for you," she said shyly, handing it to Jonathan. He unfolded it, a pencil sketch of a tall man holding hands with a small girl and a baby, standing before a building with home scrawled above. His throat tightened. "You're quite the artist." Lily beamed. "I draw when I'm scared. It helps." He folded the napkin carefully, slipping it into his pocket. "Keep drawing, then." He stepped toward the door, but Emma's voice stopped him. "Don't get too close," she said quietly. He turned. "What?" "To us. You seem decent, but this life, it's a sinking ship." Jonathan met her gaze. "I'm not here to rescue anyone. I'm just here to walk beside you as long as you let me." She didn't answer. He nodded and left, the door clicking shut behind him. Back in his penthouse, the automatic lights flicked on, casting a sterile glow over polished floors and empty rooms. Jonathan poured a glass of water but didn't drink, sitting instead on the sofa, Lily's drawing still warm in his pocket. Somewhere under the Pearl Street Bridge, a girl who'd promised to repay him for milk was now sleeping in a warm room, her brother safe beside her. But Emma's words, "bring a way out," echoed. This wasn't about a single night. It was about a promise, one he wasn't sure he could keep but knew he had to try. The gray dawn broke over Albany, New York, as Jonathan Roumie drove his black SUV back to the modest motel on Washington Street, a bag of fresh pastries and a new pair of mittens for Lily, the 8-year-old girl who'd promised to repay him for milk, resting on the passenger seat. The 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length, wavy, dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard wore a navy sweater and jeans, his gold-crossed necklace catching the faint morning light. His calm, introspective expression, familiar to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, masked a growing unease. Yesterday, he'd brought Lily, her 1-year-old brother Noah, and their mother Emma to this motel, giving them a warm room and a night's safety after finding them living under the Pearl Street Bridge. Emma's wary plea for a way out, and Lily's crumpled napkin drawing a stick-figure family under the word home weighed heavily on him. But as he pulled into the motel parking lot, a chill ran through him. The door to room 109 was wide open, the room eerily still. Something was wrong. Jonathan stepped out, his boots crunching on the frosty pavement, the bag of pastries forgotten in his hand. The motel was quiet, the heater's hum the only sound in the cold air. He approached the room, heart pounding, and peered inside. The bed was made, the blankets folded with precision, the toiletries untouched on the dresser. No Lily, no Noah, no Emma. His stomach sank. He checked the bathroom, the closet, even under the bed, nothing. The air smelled faintly of the shampoo he'd left, unopened. He hurried to the front desk, where a young clerk with a buzz cut chewed gum lazily. The family in 109, Jonathan said, his voice tight. "Where are they?" The clerk shrugged. The lady came down at dawn, dropped the key, and left with the kids. No explanation. I didn't ask. Jonathan's jaw clenched. Which way did they go? The clerk pointed vaguely toward the street. Out that way? Toward the bus stop, maybe? Jonathan thanked him and stepped outside, scanning the empty sidewalk. The December wind bit at his face, but the cold in his chest was sharper. He drove slowly around the block, eyes darting to alleys and corners, hoping for a glimpse of Lily's tangled black puffs or Emma's worn gray sweater. Nothing. Back in his SUV. Jonathan sat for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. Lily's drawing was still in his pocket, the pencil lines of a man, a girl, a baby, and home now faintly blurred from handling. He'd known Emma was scared, distrustful, but he hadn't expected her to run so soon, not after the warmth of the motel room, not after Lily's trust. He thought of her words. People like you always vanish. Had she run to prove she could disappear first, or was it something else, fear, shame, a threat he didn't yet know? Jonathan drove to the Pearl Street Bridge, hoping they'd return to their corner. The underpass was unchanged trash in the gutters, the roar of cars overhead, but their makeshift camp was gone. No tarp, no cart, no blankets. The concrete was bare, as if they'd never been there. He sat on the curb, the damp cold seeping through his jeans, and unfolded Lily's drawing. The word home stared back, a promise unkept. Wherever you are, Lily, he whispered. I'm not done. He spent the morning searching shelters, soup kitchens, the small park near St. Augustine's Church where he'd once volunteered. At a community center with peeling paint, a worker with short gray hair and tired eyes nodded when he described Lily ate light brown skin, tangled black hair in puffs, carrying a baby with sparse curls. Yeah, saw a girl like that yesterday, she said. With a woman, early 30s, light brown skin, dark hair, nervous. Took some diapers and left. Said something about food banks near Central Avenue. Jonathan's heart lifted. Did they say where they were going? The woman shook her head. Didn't stay long. The girl, Lily. You said she looked like she was carrying the world. Jonathan thanked her and drove to Central Avenue, weaving through the bustling streets of Albany's downtown. He stopped at every food bank and corner store, showing a photo he'd taken of Lily's drawing to clerks and passers-by. Seen a girl with a baby, maybe with a woman. Thin, anxious. Most shook their heads. But at a small market near a bus stop, a cashier with a nose ring squinted at the photo. Maybe. 2 nights ago, outside the laundromat across the street. Little girl dropped a blue jacket with stars. I kept it in case she came back. Jonathan's pulse quickened. Can I see it? The cashier pulled out a tiny worn jacket, size XS, covered in faded star patches. It was Lily's. Did they say where they went, he asked. The cashier shrugged. Heard the girl mention something about Clinton Square. That's all I got. Jonathan took a photo of the jacket and thanked her, his mind racing. Clinton Square was a busy plaza, markets, benches, people passing through. If Emma was running, it was a good place to blend in. He drove there, parking near a fountain where pigeons scattered. The square was alive with vendors and shoppers, but no sign of Lily's puffs or Noah's blanket. He walked the perimeter, checking benches, alleys, even the steps of a nearby church. Then, a sound stopped him, a faint hum, like a lullaby, barely audible over the street noise. He followed it, his heart pounding, to a low hedge near the plaza's edge. There, hunched in the shadows, was Lily, her light brown skin paler than before, her black hair tangled, rocking Noah in her lap. She wore a thin t-shirt, no coat, her jeans dirtier than yesterday. Noah, with his light brown skin and sparse curls, blinked up at the light. Lily, Jonathan called softly. She froze, then turned, her large brown eyes wide. Mr. Jonathan, she breathed. You found us. She looked thinner. Her lips cracked, but she managed a small smile. I told Mama you'd come, but she got scared. Said people don't help without wanting something. Jonathan crouched beside her, his voice gentle. Is she here? Lily shook her head. She went to find medicine for Noah. Told me to wait. That was this morning. His heart sank. How long have you been alone? She shrugged. A while. The wind picked up, cold and sharp. Jonathan pulled the new coat from his bag, draping it over Lily's shoulders. You're not staying here, he said. Not tonight. Lily's eyes flickered with worry. But Mama, we'll leave a note, he said. She'd want you and Noah warm, safe. He tore a page from a notebook in his bag, writing, Emma. I have Lily and Noah. They're safe at my place. Call me. He tucked it under a rock near the hedge, visible but secure. Jonathan lifted Noah carefully, cradling the baby's small frame. Lily followed, her hand gripping his coat. Where are we going? She asked. My place, he said. It's warm, and there's a bed for you and Noah. The drive to his penthouse was quiet. Lily staring out the window, Noah dozing against Jonathan's chest. The elevator opened with a soft chime into his sleek apartment polished floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a sterile glow. Lily stepped in cautiously, her eyes wide. This is where you live, she asked. For now. It's where you'll live too, Jonathan said, laying Noah on the couch and pulling a blanket over him. Lily's gaze drifted to a framed black-and-white photo of Jonathan with a woman his late wife, gone 10 years. Do you have a bedroom? She asked. 3, he said. You'll get the one with the big window? Her voice dropped. I've never had my own bed. Jonathan smiled softly. Then it's about time. He set up a crib for Noah, borrowed from a neighbor, and showed Lily the guest room. She stood in the doorway, hesitant, as if waiting for it to disappear. We'll figure this out, Jonathan said. You, me, your mom. But tonight, you're safe. Lily nodded, her eyes glistening, and for the first time, she let herself cry quiet, grateful tears. Jonathan stepped back, giving her space, his heart heavy but full. Outside, Albany's lights flickered, but inside, something new was stirring a fragile trust, a promise taking root. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Jonathan Roumie's Albany penthouse, casting cool, pale light across the polished floors. The 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard sat in his leather armchair, his gold-crossed necklace glinting faintly as he sipped coffee. His calm, introspective expression, known to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, hid a growing unease. The night before, he'd brought Lily, an 8-year-old girl with light brown skin and tangled black hair in uneven puffs, and her 1-year-old brother Noah, with sparse curly hair and light brown skin, to his home after finding them alone in Clinton Square. Their mother, Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair, had vanished, leaving only a note promising to return. Lily's crumpled napkin drawing a stick-figure family under the word home rested on the coffee table, a reminder of her trust and his promise to help. But Emma's absence gnawed at Jonathan. The city outside hummed with life, but somewhere in its shadows, a mother was missing, and the weight of that truth pressed hard against his resolve. Jonathan glanced at Lily, who sat cross-legged on the floor, her thin frame wrapped in the blue coat he'd given her. She was feeding Noah mashed banana from a plastic spoon, her large brown eyes focused, but weary. The baby cooed, his tiny hands grabbing at the spoon, oblivious to the tension. Jonathan stood, grabbing his phone. "Lily," he said softly, "you okay for a bit? I need to make a call." She nodded, not looking up. Noah's happy. He likes bananas. Jonathan smiled faintly, but his heart was heavy. He stepped into his study, closing the door, and dialed Paul Reed, a retired Albany detective who now ran a private investigation firm. "Paul, it's Jonathan," he said, his voice low. "I need your help." Paul's gruff voice came through. "Calling me at 7 someone dead." "Not yet," Jonathan said, "but I'm worried someone might be if we don't move fast. I need you to find a woman. Emma, early 30s, light brown skin, dark hair, thin, possibly struggling mentally. Last seen yesterday morning in Clinton Square, looking for medicine for her baby." Paul was silent for a beat. "Homeless." "Yeah," Jonathan said. "She's got 2 kids, Lily and Noah, staying with me now." Paul whistled. "You're in deep, Roumie. All right, I'll put my team on it. Any details on where she might go?" Jonathan thought of Lily's words. She mentioned a pharmacy on Central Avenue. Might have been headed there, but didn't make it. Lily said she gets stuck, sometimes panics, runs. Paul grunted. "Got it. I'll check pharmacies, shelters, back streets. Send me a description." Jonathan texted a quick summary. Emma, 35, light brown skin, tangled black hair, worn gray sweater, faded jeans, anxious, maybe disoriented. He added, "Call me the second you find anything." Paul replied, "Will do. Bill me whatever it takes." Jonathan returned to the living room, where Lily was wiping banana from Noah's chin. "You talked to someone about Mama?" she asked, her voice small but sharp. Jonathan nodded, crouching beside her. "A friend who's good at finding people. He's looking for her now." Lily's eyes searched his. "She always comes back, but sometimes she gets scared, and her head gets loud." Jonathan's chest tightened. "Has that happened before?" She nodded. "Last year, she was gone 2 days. Came back with cuts on her hands. Said she fought shadows." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll find her. Lily, I promise." Her eyes glistened, but her voice stayed steady. "You mean it, I do." He stood, grabbing a stack of coloring books from a shelf. "Want to draw while we wait?" Lily hesitated, then took a book, her fingers clutching a crayon like a lifeline. Jonathan sat nearby, watching her sketch, his mind racing. Emma's disappearance wasn't just fear, it was survival instinct, honed by years of hardship. But where had she gone? By noon, Jonathan had driven to Central Avenue, leaving Lily and Noah with a trusted neighbor, Mrs. Gonzalez, a 60-year-old woman with gray hair and a warm smile who attended St. Augustine's Church. He checked pharmacies, food banks, and alleys, showing Emma's description to clerks and passers-by. At a small drugstore, a cashier with a buzz cut nodded slowly. "Yeah, saw a woman like that yesterday morning. Thin, dark hair, looked jumpy, asked for baby aspirin, but didn't have ID or money. Left when I asked for a prescription." Jonathan's pulse quickened. Did she say where she was going? The cashier shook his head. Just bolted. Looked like she was running from something. Jonathan thanked him and stepped outside, the cold air biting. He called Paul. Anything, Paul's voice was grim, got a lead. A woman matching Emma's description was seen near a closed clinic on Western Avenue last night, barefoot, confused, asking for medicine. A clerk called for a wellness check, but she was gone before help arrived. Jonathan's stomach dropped. Where would she go next? Paul paused. If she's scared, avoiding authorities, probably somewhere she feels safe alleys, churches, old haunts. Any ideas? Jonathan thought of Lily's words. Check the alley behind the old St. Peter's Church on State Street. Lily said Emma liked sitting there on Sundays because the choir music calmed her. Paul grunted. On it. I'll send someone now. Jonathan hung up, driving to St. Peter's, a small brick church with cracked steps. The alley was narrow, littered with leaves and broken bottles. He walked slowly, scanning for signs: a scrap of clothing, a footprint. Nothing. The choir's faint hymns drifted from inside, a haunting echo of Emma's refuge. He sat on a bench, Lily's drawing in his pocket, and prayed silently. Lord, guide her back to us. An hour later, Paul called. We found her. Jonathan's heart leapt. Is she okay physically? Yeah. Mentally. She's rattled. Found her behind St. Peter's, curled up against the wall, crying, holding a broken baby bottle. Wouldn't talk to us. Jonathan stood, already moving to his car. Where is she? At my clinic, Paul said. My wife's there. She works with trauma cases. Got her calm enough to rest. I'm coming, Jonathan said, his voice firm. The clinic was tucked behind a coffee shop, discreet and quiet. Jonathan stepped inside, finding Emma on a vinyl couch, wrapped in a blanket. Her light brown skin was ashen, her tangled black hair loose, her gray sweater and jeans dirtier than before. Her eyes, wild at first, softened when she saw him. Where's Lily? She asked, her voice hoarse. Safe with Noah at my place, Jonathan said, sitting beside her. You didn't mean to leave them. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was looking for medicine for Noah. He was coughing, and I got stuck. My head got loud. Jonathan nodded, his voice gentle. You were doing your best. Emma looked down. I didn't think you'd keep looking. I promised Lily, he said. Why do you care? She asked, her voice breaking. Because I see you. Emma, not just the struggle, but the mother fighting for her kids. I believe you deserve more than survival. She nodded, tears falling. I'm scared. What if I mess this up? You might, Jonathan said, his tone honest but kind. We all do, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve a chance. Emma exhaled, her shoulders sagging. I want help, but I'm terrified. Jonathan met her gaze. You're not alone anymore. She looked at him, a flicker of trust in her eyes. Can I see them? Come home, he said. They're waiting. Emma nodded, clutching the blanket. Jonathan helped her stand, his heart lifting but heavy with the road ahead. As they left the clinic, the city's lights flickered, but the darkness felt less oppressive. Lily and Noah were safe, and Emma was found, but the shadows of her past still lingered, waiting to be faced. The soft glow of dawn seeped through the windows of Jonathan Roumie's Albany penthouse, casting cool light across the polished floors. The 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard sat at his kitchen island, his gold cross necklace catching the morning rays. His calm, introspective expression, known to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, hid a quiet determination. The night before, he'd brought Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair, back to her children, Lily and Noah, after finding her in a traumatized state behind St. Peter's Church. Lily, an 8-year-old with light brown skin and tangled black hair in uneven puffs, and Noah, a 1-year-old with sparse curly hair, were now asleep in the guest room. Emma's plea for a way out and Lily's napkin drawing a stick-figure family under the word home rested on the counter, a reminder of the fragile trust forming. But Jonathan knew Emma's past, with its shadows of fear and pain, was far from resolved. As he sipped coffee, the city outside stirred, but inside, a new chapter was beginning, one that would test his resolve to help this family find a path forward. Jonathan heard soft footsteps and turned to see Emma, her gray sweater and faded jeans hanging loosely on her thin frame, stepping into the kitchen. Her light brown skin looked less sallow, but her eyes were still weary. Her black hair pulled into a messy bun. "Morning," she said, her voice hoarse. "Didn't mean to wake you." Jonathan smiled faintly. "You didn't." "Coffee." She nodded, sitting across from him. "Thanks for yesterday," she said, her gaze on the mug he handed her. "I didn't think you'd find me." "I promised Lily," Jonathan said, his tone steady. "How are you feeling?" Emma shrugged, her fingers tracing the mug's rim. "Better, I guess. Noah slept through the night. That's something." Jonathan glanced toward the hallway, where Lily's soft humming drifted from the guest room. "She's strong," he said, "like her mom." Emma's eyes flickered, a mix of pride and pain. "I haven't been strong. I've been surviving. There's a difference." Jonathan leaned forward. "Surviving's the start. You kept them alive. Emma, that's strength." She looked away, her voice low. "I left them alone in that park. What kind of mother does that one who was scared?" he said gently. "But you're here now. That's what matters." Emma's eyes met his, searching. "Why do you keep doing this? You don't owe us anything." Jonathan paused, the cross necklace heavy against his chest. "Because I believe people deserve more than just getting by. And because Lily's promise to pay me back made me realize I've got a lot to give." Emma's lips twitched, almost a smile. She's stubborn like that. Before Jonathan could reply, Lily bounded into the kitchen, her blue coat trailing behind her, her large brown eyes bright. "Mr. Jonathan, Noah's awake. He's trying to eat my crayon." Jonathan chuckled, standing. Let's save the artist from his breakfast. They found Noah in the crib, his light brown skin flushed, giggling as he chewed a red crayon. Lily grabbed it, scolding him playfully. Emma scooped him up, her touch gentle but firm, and for a moment, the room felt like a home. Jonathan's phone buzzed a text from Paul Reed, the retired detective he'd hired to find Emma. Got a lead on a shelter worker who saw Emma yesterday. Might know more about her past. "Meet me at noon," Jonathan replied. "I'll be there. Keep digging." He turned to Emma. "I've got a friend looking into places you and the kids can stay long-term safe. With support." Emma's face tightened. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not," Jonathan said. "This is about a fresh start." After breakfast, pancakes Jonathan made with Lily's help. Flour dusting her cheeks, he drove them to a nearby community center to meet a counselor, Mrs. Gonzalez. The 60-year-old neighbor with gray hair and a warm smile agreed to watch Noah, her St. Augustine's prayer group scarf draped over her shoulder. At the center, a counselor with short brown hair and a kind face met them, guiding Emma and Lily to a quiet room. "This is a start," the counselor said. "We'll work on coping tools. For both of you." Emma hesitated but nodded, holding Lily's hand. Jonathan waited outside, praying silently, the napkin drawing in his pocket a quiet anchor. At noon, Jonathan met Paul at a diner near St. Augustine's. Paul, a 50-year-old man with salt and pepper hair and a worn leather jacket, slid into the booth. The shelter worker recognized Emma, he said, pulling out a notebook. Said she's been in and out for years, always with the kids. Mentioned a man, Noah's father, maybe who caused trouble. Threatened her a few times. Jonathan's jaw tightened. Got a name. Paul shook his head. Not yet. Goes by Marcus. In and out of jail. Last seen around Albany a year ago. I'm digging deeper. Jonathan's mind raced. Emma said she gets stuck, panics, runs. Could he be why Paul nodded? Sounds like it. I'll check police records for a Marcus matching his profile. If he's still around, we need to know. Jonathan leaned back, the weight of Emma's fear settling heavier. She's just starting to trust. If this guy's a threat, we need to protect them. Paul scribbled a note. I'll put a guy on it. You focus on keeping them safe. Back at the penthouse. Jonathan found Emma and Lily in the living room. Lily coloring a new sketch, a house with 3 stick figures and a sun overhead. Emma sat nearby, rocking Noah, her face softer but still guarded. How'd it go? Jonathan asked. Emma shrugged. The counselor's nice. Said I've got trauma. No surprise. Lily liked her, though. Lily looked up, grinning. She let me draw a butterfly. Jonathan smiled. You're gonna need a gallery soon. Emma's eyes met his. You don't have to keep us here. You know, we're a lot to handle. Jonathan sat beside her. I've handled tough crowds before. You're not a burden. Emma, you're a family. She looked away, her throat tight. I haven't felt like a family in a long time. Jonathan's voice was steady. You're starting to. That's enough for now. That evening, Jonathan called Dallas Jenkins, his friend and the chosen director, who was in Albany for a charity event. Dallas, I need a favor, he said. Can you and the guys, Shahar Paras, help me set up something for a family I'm looking after? They need a safe place, long term. Dallas's voice was warm. You're doing that Roumie thing again, saving the world. Count us in. What do you need? Jonathan explained a house, support services, maybe a connection to St. Augustine's community programs. We'll make it happen, Dallas said. Send me details. As night fell, Jonathan sat with Lily while Emma bathed Noah. You think Mama's okay? Lily asked, her crayon pausing. She's trying, Jonathan said. That's more than okay. Lily handed him her new drawing, A Family Under a Sun. No bridge in sight. This is us now, she said. Jonathan's heart swelled. It's beautiful. Lily. He tucked it beside the first, his resolve hardening. Emma was back, but her past Marcus. The fear was still out there, waiting to strike. The fight for their future was just beginning. The evening light faded over Albany, New York, casting long, cool shadows across Jonathan Roumie's penthouse. The 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length, wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard sat at his kitchen island, his gold cross necklace glinting faintly under the soft glow of pendant lights. His calm, introspective expression, familiar to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, masked a growing tension. Days ago, he'd brought Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair, and her children, 8-year-old Lily, with light brown skin and uneven black puffs, and 1-year-old Noah, with sparse curly hair into his home after finding them in Clinton Square. Emma's return from her panicked flight, her fragile trust, and Lily's crayon drawing of a family under a sun had anchored Jonathan's resolve to help them find a way out. But the shadow of Noah's father, Marcus, loomed a man with a history of threats, now possibly circling back. As Jonathan watched Lily color at the coffee table, her small hands steady despite the uncertainty, he knew the fight for their safety was far from over. The city outside hummed, but inside, a quiet battle was brewing. Jonathan glanced at Emma, who sat on the couch, rocking Noah in her worn gray sweater and faded jeans. Her light brown skin was less pale, but her eyes were distant, her black hair pulled into a loose bun. You okay? He asked softly. She nodded, but her fingers tightened around Noah. Just thinking. It's too quiet. like something's waiting to happen. Jonathan's jaw tightened. He'd felt it too, the weight of an unseen threat. His phone buzzed, a text from Paul Reed. The retired detective got a hit on Marcus, seen at a bar on Central Avenue last night. I'm tracking him. Stay alert, Jonathan replied. Keep me posted. Anything on a safe house. Paul's response was quick. Found a place in Delmar, small, secure, support services nearby, can move them in a week. I'll check it out tomorrow. Jonathan pocketed his phone, his mind racing. Emma, he said, I've got a friend looking for a long-term place for you and the kids. Somewhere safe, with people who can help. Her eyes narrowed. I don't want to owe anyone. You won't, Jonathan said. This is about giving you a foundation, not a debt. She looked away, her voice low. I've never had that. Not sure I know how to start. Before Jonathan could reply, Lily looked up from her coloring book, her large brown eyes bright. Mr. Jonathan, can we make a fort again? She asked, holding up a crayon. He smiled, grateful for her lightness. Only if Noah's the king. She giggled, grabbing pillows from the couch. Emma watched, a faint smile breaking through her tension. She's never had a place to just be a kid, she said. Jonathan nodded. She's got that now, and so do you. They spent the next hour building a pillow fort, Lily directing with the seriousness of an architect. Noah, in his bouncer, cooed as Lily draped a blanket over the couch cushions. Emma joined in, her movements hesitant but softening. For a moment, the penthouse felt like a home, not just a shelter. But as they finished, a sharp knock at the door froze them all. Jonathan's heart skipped. Stay here, he told Emma, who scooped Noah up, her face pale. Lily ducked into the fort, her eyes wide. Jonathan checked the security camera on his phone. A figure in a dark hoodie stood by the elevator. Back to the camera. He pressed the intercom. Who is it? A gruff voice crackled through. Delivery for Emma Thompson. Jonathan's blood ran cold. We didn't order anything, he said, his voice steady but sharp. A pause. Then might not have. Jonathan muted the speaker, turning to Emma. Get the kids to the guest room. Lock the door. She nodded, grabbing Lily's hand and hurrying down the hall. Noah clutched tight. Jonathan called Paul Reed. He's here, he said, his voice low. Someone claiming a delivery, using Emma's full name. Paul's tone hardened. Don't open the door. I'm sending a patrol car now. Keep the camera feed on. Jonathan grabbed a stun baton from his study drawer, a precaution he'd taken after Paul's warning about Marcus. He hated the idea of it, but helplessness scared him more. The camera feed showed the figure lingering, then slipping down the stairwell before security could reach him. Jonathan exhaled, his pulse racing. Minutes later, Paul arrived with a uniformed officer, a 40-year-old man with a buzz cut and a stern face. He's gone, Paul said, checking the footage. Slipped out the back, knew the camera's blind spots. Jonathan's jaw clenched. He used Emma's last name. How'd he know? Paul's eyes darkened. Marcus has been asking around shelters. He's not subtle. We need to move them soon. The officer took a statement, and Paul secured the building's perimeter, ensuring extra guards for the night. Jonathan found Emma in the guest room, sitting on the bed with Lily and Noah. Her light brown face was ashen, her hands trembling. It was him, wasn't it? She whispered. Jonathan nodded. We think so, but he's gone, and we're watching the building. Lily clung to her mother, her voice small. Is the bad man coming? Emma pulled her close. No, baby, we're safe here. Jonathan knelt beside them. You are. I've got people making sure of it. Emma's eyes met his, her voice barely audible. His name's Marcus. Noah's father. He was in jail. Came back meaner, said I owed him for his trouble, threatened to take Noah if I didn't pay. Jonathan's stomach twisted. He's not getting near you. I've got Paul on it, and we're finding you a safe place. Emma shook her head. I'm tired of running. I know, Jonathan said. But this isn't running. It's fighting for a future. That night. Jonathan stayed up, sitting by the living room window, the city's lights flickering below. He called Dallas Jenkins, who was still in Albany. Dallas, I need your help, he said. The family I'm helping, they're in danger. Can you and the guys connect with St. Augustine's to set up a support network counseling, housing, whatever they need? Dallas's voice was warm. You're doing it again. Roumie Saving Souls. We're in. Send me the plan. Jonathan smiled faintly. Thanks, man. He checked on Lily and Noah, asleep in the guest room. Emma curled beside them, her gray sweater draped over Noah like a shield. Lily's new drawing, a house with a sun and 4 stick figures, sat on the nightstand. Jonathan's heart ached. Marcus was out there, a shadow from Emma's past, but he wouldn't let that darkness touch them. He sat back in the armchair, clutching the prayer card from his late wife's belongings, its words a quiet anchor. Lord, be my shield. The fight was growing, but so was their hope, fragile but real. The Albany night was cloaked in a restless quiet, the city's lights flickering like distant stars beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows of Jonathan Roumie's penthouse. The 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard sat in his living room, his gold cross necklace catching the soft glow of a single lamp. His calm, introspective expression, known to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, masked a growing unease. Hours ago, a shadowy figure, likely Marcus, the abusive father of 1-year-old Noah, had appeared at the building, using Emma's full name in a chilling delivery ruse. Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair, and her children, 8-year-old Lily with light brown skin and uneven black puffs, and Noah with sparse curly hair, were asleep in the guest room, safe for now. But the threat of Marcus, confirmed by retired Detective Paul Reed, loomed large. Lily's crayon drawing a house with 4 stick figures under a sun rested on the coffee table, a fragile symbol of hope. Jonathan's faith, his anchor through this storm, told him the fight for this family's future was far from over. As he gripped the prayer card from his late wife, he knew the next move would test them all. Jonathan's phone buzzed. A text from Paul Reed Marcus spotted at a dive bar on Central Avenue. I'm tailing him. Security's doubled at your building. Stay sharp, Jonathan replied. Thanks. Any progress on the safe house? Paul's response was quick. Delmar Place is ready. Can move them in 2 days. I'll confirm tomorrow. Jonathan exhaled, his mind racing. The safe house was a step toward stability, but Marcus's presence was a ticking clock. He stood, checking the security feed on his phone. The lobby was clear. Guards stationed at every entrance. But Emma's words echoed. He's meaner now. He won't stop. Emma emerged from the guest room, her gray sweater and faded jeans hanging loosely, her light brown skin pale in the dim light. Her tangled black hair was pulled into a tight bun, her eyes weary but alert. You're still up? She said, her voice low. Jonathan nodded, setting his phone down. Couldn't sleep. You? She shook her head, sitting on the couch. Every sound makes me jump. I keep seeing him. Marcus standing outside, waiting. Jonathan sat beside her, his voice steady. He won't get near you. Paul's tracking him, and the building's locked down. Emma's hands trembled, clutching Noah's blanket. You don't know him. He doesn't care about locks or cops. He'll find us. Jonathan met her gaze. Not while I'm here. I've got people watching, and we're moving you to a safe house soon. Emma's eyes narrowed. Another place to hide. I'm tired of running. This isn't running, Jonathan said. It's building a life where you don't have to look over your shoulder. Before she could reply, a soft knock came from the guest room. Lily stepped out, her light brown skin flushed, her blue coat trailing behind her. "Mama, Noah's fussing," she said, rubbing her eyes. Emma stood, but Jonathan gestured for her to stay. "I'll check," he said, heading to the room. Noah, his sparse curls damp with sweat, whimpered in the crib. Jonathan lifted him gently, rocking him until he settled. Lily followed, her large brown eyes watching. "You're good with him," she said. Jonathan smiled faintly. "I'm learning." Back in the living room, Emma took Noah, her expression softening as he nuzzled her. "He's okay," she said, then looked at Jonathan. "You didn't sign up for this baby's threats, my mess." Jonathan leaned forward, his cross necklace glinting. "I chose this, Emma." The moment Lily asked for milk. "I was in—" Lily climbed onto the couch, clutching a new drawing, a house with a tree. "This is our safe house," she said. "I drew it for you." Jonathan's throat tightened as he took it. "It's perfect." "Lily!" Jonathan's phone buzzed again, a call from Paul. "Got news," Paul said, his voice tense. Marcus was asking about Emma at a shelter downtown. Used her name. Mentioned the kids. He's not subtle. Jonathan's jaw clenched. "Where is he now?" "Lost him near Lark Street. He's moving fast, but we've got eyes on the area. The safe house is secure fenced, monitored, ready by tomorrow." Jonathan nodded. "Good. I want them moved as soon as possible." Paul paused. "There's more. A worker at the shelter said Marcus mentioned debts." Sounded like a threat. Jonathan's stomach dropped. "Keep me posted, day or night." He hung up, turning to Emma. "Paul's tracking Marcus. He's asking about you, but we're ahead of him. The safe house is ready tomorrow." Emma's eyes widened. "Tomorrow I don't know if I'm ready." Jonathan's voice was gentle but firm. "You don't have to be ready. You just have to take the step." Lily looked up. "Will there be a bed for Noah?" Jonathan smiled. "A crib, a bed for you, and a room for your mom." Lily grinned, but Emma's face remained tense. "What if he finds us?" "He won't," Jonathan said. "Not this time. That morning." Jonathan drove Emma and Lily to a therapy session at the community center near St. Augustine's. Mrs. Gonzalez, the 60-year-old neighbor with gray hair and a warm smile, watched Noah, her prayer group scarf draped over her shoulder. At the center, the counselor, a woman with short brown hair and a kind face, met them, guiding Emma and Lily to a quiet room. "We'll work on tools to manage fear," she said. Emma nodded, holding Lily's hand, her gray sweater sleeve slipping down her thin wrist. Jonathan waited outside, praying silently, the prayer card in his pocket a quiet anchor. By afternoon, he met Paul at a coffee shop near the church. Paul, a 50-year-old man with salt and pepper hair and a worn leather jacket, slid a photo across the table, a grainy image of a tall, lean man in a hoodie. "Marcus," Paul said, "caught on a shelter camera. He's been asking about Emma and the kids, saying she owes him. No record of recent arrests, but he's got a history: assault, theft." Jonathan studied the photo, his jaw tight. "He's coming for them." Paul nodded. "Likely. We're setting up security at the safe house. It's in Del Mar, quiet, fenced, near a community center with counseling and job programs." Jonathan leaned back. Emma's scared. but she's strong. She just needs a chance. Paul scribbled a note. We'll move them tomorrow morning. I'll have a team escort you. In the meantime, keep your building locked down. Jonathan nodded, his mind on Lily's drawing the house, the tree, the hope. Thanks. Paul, I owe you. Paul smirked. You're paying me enough. Roumie. Back at the penthouse, Jonathan found Emma and Lily in the living room, Lily coloring a new sketch, a family with a dog. Emma sat with Noah, her face softer but still guarded. How was it, Jonathan asked. Emma shrugged. The counselor says I've got PTSD. No shock there. Lily drew a lot. Lily held up her picture. This is us with a puppy. Jonathan smiled. We'll work on that. Emma met his gaze. You're really moving us tomorrow. Yeah, he said. It's a fresh start. Emma, you're ready. That evening, Jonathan called Dallas Jenkins, who was organizing a support network through St. Augustine's, Dallas. The safe house is set for tomorrow, he said. Can you and the guys help with supplies, clothes, food, maybe toys for the kids? Dallas's voice was warm. We're on it. Shahar and Paris are rallying the church volunteers. You're doing something big here. Man, Jonathan's throat tightened, just trying to keep a promise. As night settled, Jonathan sat with Lily while Emma bathed Noah. You scared about the new place, he asked. Lily shook her head. Not if you're there. He smiled, tucking her drawing into his pocket beside the prayer card. The safe house was a step forward, but Marcus's shadow loomed, a threat waiting to strike. Jonathan prayed silently. His faith steady, Lord, shield them. The fight for their future was growing, but so was their hope. Fragile but unbreakable. The morning light spilled through the windows of Jonathan Roumie's Albany penthouse, casting a cool, silvery glow across the polished floors. The 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard stood at the kitchen island, his gold cross necklace glinting faintly as he sipped coffee. His calm, introspective expression, known to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, masked a tightening knot of unease. The threat of Marcus, the abusive father of 1-year-old Noah, had escalated the night before with a chilling delivery attempt at the building. Using Emma's full name, Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair, sat on the couch, clutching Noah, her worn gray sweater and faded jeans a stark contrast to the sleek surroundings. Lily, 8 years old with light brown skin and uneven black puffs, colored quietly at the coffee table, her latest drawing a house with a dog beside her. The safe house in Del Mar was ready, a step toward freedom, but Marcus's shadow loomed larger than ever. As Jonathan prepared to move the family, his faith, anchored by the prayer card in his pocket, steadied him for the fight ahead. But the city outside was restless, and the threat was closer than he knew. Jonathan's phone buzzed, a text from Paul Reed. The retired detective Marcus was spotted near your building last night. Security footage confirms it's him. Moving the family today. Meet me at 10 a.m., Jonathan replied. We'll be ready. Any sign he's armed? Paul's response was grim. No confirmation, but he's unpredictable. Stay sharp. Jonathan turned to Emma, who was rocking Noah, his sparse curly hair damp against her shoulder. Paul's coming to take us to the safe house, he said. It's secure, with people to help you settle. Emma's light brown face paled, her eyes darting to the window. What if Marcus follows us? Jonathan's voice was firm. He won't. Paul's got a team, and I'll be there. Lily looked up, her large brown eyes steady. Will the safe house have a yard? She asked, clutching a crayon. Jonathan smiled. A big one, with a fence. You can draw outside. She grinned, but Emma's hands trembled. "I've never stayed anywhere safe," she said softly. "Not really." Jonathan sat beside her. "You will now. You're not alone anymore." Emma nodded, her throat tight, but the fear in her eyes lingered before they could pack. A sharp buzz from the intercom jolted them. Jonathan checked his phone's security feed. A man in a dark hoodie stood by the lobby elevator, face obscured. "Stay here," he told Emma, who scooped Noah and grabbed Lily's hand, retreating to the guest room. Jonathan pressed the intercom. "Who is it?" a gruff voice answered. "Delivery for Emma Thompson." His blood ran cold. "Leave it at the desk," he said, his voice sharp. The figure hesitated, then slipped out of view. Jonathan called Paul. "He's back." "Same hoodie, same trick?" Paul's voice was tense. "I'm 5 minutes out with a patrol car. Lock everything down." Jonathan checked the locks, grabbing the stun baton from his study. He hated the weight of it, but Marcus's threat was real. Emma emerged, Noah in her arms, Lily behind her. "It's him, isn't it?" she whispered, her light brown skin ashen. Jonathan nodded. "Paul's coming. We're moving you now." Lily clung to her mother's leg, her blue coat trailing. "Is the bad man here?" Jonathan knelt, his voice gentle. "He won't get you, I promise." Minutes later, Paul arrived with 2 officers, one a 40-year-old man with a buzz cut, the other a woman with short black hair in a Navy uniform. Paul, a 50-year-old man with salt and pepper hair and a worn leather jacket, checked the security footage. "He's gone," he said, slipped out the back stairwell again. "Knows the blind spots." Jonathan's jaw clenched. "He's hunting her." Paul nodded. "We're moving to the safe house now. My team's securing the route." They packed quickly Lily's drawings, Noah's diapers, Emma's few clothes stuffed into a duffel. Jonathan drove, Paul in the passenger seat, Emma and the kids in the back. The Delmar safe house was a small, clean bungalow with a fenced yard, tucked in a quiet cul-de-sac. As they pulled up, Emma's eyes widened, taking in the sunny porch and green lawn. "This is it?" she asked, her voice soft. Jonathan nodded. "Your new start." Lily bounced in her seat. "Can I draw on the porch all you want?" he said, smiling. Inside. The house was modest but warm wood floors, soft blue walls, a crib already set up for Noah. Emma set him down, her hands steadier but her eyes still wary. Paul briefed them. "Security's on 24/7. Community centers nearby with counseling. Job programs. You're safe here." Emma nodded, but her voice was low. "Until he finds us." Jonathan placed a hand on her shoulder. "He won't. We're watching." That afternoon, Jonathan helped them settle, unpacking groceries while Lily explored the yard, her blue coat bright against the grass. Emma arranged Noah's crib, her gray sweater sleeve slipping down her thin wrist. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. "Live without running." Jonathan smiled. "You're already doing it." Dallas Jenkins called, his voice warm. "Jonathan, the church is sending supplies, clothes, toys, food. Shahar and Paris are organizing a drop-off tomorrow." Jonathan's throat tightened. "You guys are a blessing. Thank you." As evening fell, Jonathan sat with Lily on the porch, watching her draw a new picture, a house with a tree and a swing. "This is us here," she said, her large brown eyes bright. "You, me, Mama, Noah." Jonathan's heart swelled. "It's perfect." Emma joined them, Noah asleep in her arms. "You're staying tonight, right?" she asked, her voice hesitant. "Yeah," Jonathan said. "I'm not going anywhere." That night, as the house settled into quiet, Jonathan's phone buzzed a text from Paul Marcus, spotted at a bar in Troy, asking about Emma. "We're closing in." Jonathan's pulse quickened. He stepped outside, calling Paul. "What's the plan?" Paul's voice was grim. "We're tailing him. If he makes a move, we'll grab him. Stay with the family." Jonathan hung up, the prayer card in his pocket heavy. He prayed silently. "Lord, protect them back inside." Emma sat on the couch, Noah in her lap, her eyes distant. "He's out there, isn't he?" she said. Jonathan nodded. "Paul's on him. He won't get close." Lily looked up from her drawing. "Mr. Jonathan, you'll stay. Right here," he said, his voice firm. Emma's gaze softened. "You're not what I expected," she said. Jonathan smiled faintly. "Neither are you." As the stars emerged, Jonathan sat by the window, the stun baton nearby, his faith steady. Marcus was close, but so was hope, a fragile, growing light in the safe house. The fight wasn't over, but for tonight, Lily, Noah, and Emma were safe, and that was enough. The morning sun cast a pale, cool glow over the small Del Mar safe house in Albany, New York, its fenced yard a quiet haven amidst the looming threat of Marcus, the abusive father of 1-year-old Noah, Jonathan Roumie, a 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard, stood on the porch, his gold cross necklace glinting faintly as he sipped coffee. His calm, introspective expression, known to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, masked a steely resolve. The past week had been a whirlwind meeting 8-year-old Lily in a convenience store, promising to repay him for milk, bringing her and Noah to his penthouse, and finding their mother, Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair after her panicked flight. Marcus's chilling appearance at the penthouse, using Emma's full name, had forced their move to this secure bungalow. Lily's crayon drawing a house with a tree and a swing sat on the kitchen counter, a symbol of fragile hope. As Jonathan watched Lily play in the yard, his faith, anchored by a prayer card from his late wife, steadied him for the battle ahead. Marcus was closing in, but so was a chance for freedom. Jonathan's phone buzzed. A text from Paul Reed, the retired detective. Marcus was at a Troy bar last night, asking about Emma. "We're close to a warrant. Stay vigilant." Jonathan replied, "Thanks. Keep us posted. Safe house secure." Paul's response was quick, "Locked down. Guards on rotation. I'll be there by noon to plan next steps." Jonathan pocketed his phone, his jaw tight. He stepped inside, where Emma was setting out breakfast oatmeal and fruit for Lily and Noah. Her worn gray sweater and faded jeans hung loosely, her light brown skin less pale, but her eyes still wary, her black hair tied in a loose bun. Noah, with sparse curly hair, babbled in his high chair, his light brown skin flushed with warmth. Lily, her uneven black puffs bouncing, ran in from the yard, her blue coat trailing. "Mr. Jonathan, can we plant flowers?" she asked, her large brown eyes bright. Jonathan smiled. "Soon. Lily, let's eat first." Emma glanced at him, her voice low. "Any news?" Jonathan nodded, keeping his tone steady. "Paul's tracking Marcus. He's close, but we're ready." Emma's hands trembled, stirring the oatmeal. "He won't stop." "I know him." Jonathan sat beside her. "He won't get to you. The house is secure, and Paul's on it." Lily looked up, crayon in hand. "Is the bad man coming?" Emma pulled her close. "No, baby. We're safe here." Jonathan met Lily's gaze. "I promise. After breakfast?" Jonathan helped Lily arrange her drawings on a small table, each one a step toward hope, a house, a tree, a dog. Emma watched, rocking Noah, her face tense. "I keep waiting for a knock," she said softly. Jonathan's voice was firm. "If it comes, he'll have to go through me." His phone buzzed again, a call from Dallas Jenkins. who was coordinating support through St. Augustine's Church. "Jonathan, we've got supplies ready, clothes, toys, food. Shahar and Paras are dropping them off this afternoon," Dallas said. Jonathan's throat tightened. "You're a lifesaver. The kids'll love it." Dallas chuckled. "You're doing the heavy lifting, man. We're just backing you up." Paul arrived at noon, his 50-year-old frame clad in a worn leather jacket, his salt and pepper hair catching the light. He spread a map on the kitchen table, circling a bar in Troy. "Marcus was here last night," he said, "asking about Emma, using her name. We've got a warrant pending for stalking and prior assault charges. If he shows up, we'll grab him." Jonathan studied the map, his jaw tight. "He's escalating." Paul nodded. "He knows she's hiding. We need to move fast." Emma, listening from the couch, clutched Noah tighter. "What if he finds us before you get him?" Paul's voice was steady. "This place is locked down, cameras, guards, no way in without us knowing." "You're safe," Jonathan added, "and I'm not leaving." Emma's eyes softened, but fear lingered. "You're doing too much," she said. "You didn't sign up for this." Jonathan smiled faintly. "I signed up the moment Lily asked for milk." That afternoon, Dallas, Shahar, and Paris arrived with boxes from St. Augustine's blankets, clothes, a stuffed bear for Lily. Dallas, a 50-year-old light-skinned man with short brown hair and a gray sweater, clapped Jonathan's shoulder. "You're building a home here." Roumie, Shahar, a 35-year-old man with dark hair and a leather jacket, handed Lily the bear. "This guy's for you," he said. Lily's eyes lit up. "I'm naming him Button Paris." A 30-year-old man with short black hair and a black hoodie grinned. "Good choice." As they unpacked, a sharp buzz from the safe house's security system froze them. Jonathan checked the camera feed. A man in a dark hoodie stood at the gate, face obscured. "Stay here," he told Emma, who grabbed Lily and Noah, retreating to the bedroom. Paul signaled to Dallas and the others to stay quiet, pulling out his radio. "Unit 1, we've got a suspect at the gate. Move in." Jonathan gripped his stun baton, his heart pounding, but his faith steady. "Lord, protect us." He prayed silently. Paul and an officer, a 40-year-old man with a buzz cut in a Navy uniform, slipped outside. The figure bolted before they reached the gate, disappearing into the trees. Paul returned, his face grim. It was Marcus. Recognized his build from the footage. "He's testing us." Jonathan's stomach dropped. "He's not giving up." Paul nodded. "Warrants approved. We're picking him up tonight at that Troy bar. He's there every Thursday." Jonathan turned to Emma, who emerged with the kids, her light brown face pale. "He was here," she whispered. "He won't get inside," Jonathan said. "We're ending this tonight." Lily clung to her mother, clutching Button the bear. "Will you stay, Mr. Jonathan?" "Right here," he said, his voice firm. Emma's eyes met his. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," he said. "Just keep fighting." That evening, Jonathan joined Paul in an unmarked SUV a block from the Troy bar. Paul's radio crackled with updates from his team. "Marcus is inside," an officer reported. "Playing pool. Talking loud." Jonathan's jaw tightened. "What's the plan, Paul?" His leather jacket creaking, checked his watch. "We move in when he steps outside. No scene, just cuffs." Jonathan nodded, clutching the prayer card in his pocket. "I'm praying." As they waited, Jonathan's thoughts drifted to Lily's drawings, Emma's fragile trust, Noah's innocent giggles. The bar's neon sign flickered, casting cool light across the street. Then, Movement Marcus, a tall, lean man in a dark hoodie, stepped out, lighting a cigarette. Paul signaled, and 2 officers moved in. Swift and silent, Marcus cursed, kicking, but they pinned him, cuffs snapping shut. He saw Jonathan in the SUV, his eyes narrowing. "You," he snarled. "She's mine." Jonathan stepped out, his voice calm but piercing. "She's not property. You lost her when you raised your fist," Marcus spat, but the officers hauled him away. Paul clapped Jonathan's shoulder. "It's done. He's in custody." Jonathan exhaled, his heart lighter but still heavy. "Will he stay there?" Paul nodded. "With his record and the warrant, yeah. But we'll keep eyes on him." Jonathan drove back to the safe house, the prayer card warm in his pocket. Emma and Lily were waiting on the porch. Noah asleep in Emma's arms. "He's gone," Jonathan said. Emma's eyes glistened. "For good for now," he said. "You're free to start." Lily ran to him, hugging his legs. "You kept your promise." Jonathan knelt, smiling. "So did you." Emma's voice was soft. "You're not like anyone I've met." Jonathan met her gaze. "Neither are you." As the stars emerged, the safe house glowed with quiet hope. But the road ahead was still uncertain, and Jonathan knew their journey was far from over. The morning sun bathed the Delmar safe house in Albany, New York, in a soft, cool glow, its rays filtering through the sycamore trees and casting dappled shadows on the fenced yard. Jonathan Roumie, a 40-year-old light-skinned man with shoulder-length wavy dark brown hair and a neatly groomed beard, stood on the porch, his gold cross necklace glinting as he sipped coffee. His calm, introspective expression, known to millions as Jesus in The Chosen, carried a quiet triumph. The journey had been grueling, meeting 8-year-old Lily in a convenience store, her promise to repay him for milk, taking her and her 1-year-old brother Noah into his penthouse, and finding their mother, Emma, after her panicked flight. The threat of Marcus, Noah's abusive father, had culminated in his arrest at a Troy bar, freeing Emma and her children from his shadow. Now settled in the safe house. Lily's crayon drawings a house, a tree. A family lined the walls, symbols of hope taking root. As Jonathan watched Emma plant herbs by the windowsill, his faith, anchored by a prayer card from his late wife, felt fulfilled. But the family's journey was far from over, and a new chapter was about to unfold. Emma, a 35-year-old woman with light brown skin and tangled black hair, now tied in a neat bun, wore a clean navy sweater and jeans, her face softer, but still cautious. She knelt in the yard, tucking basil into a pot, while Lily, her light brown skin glowing in the sun, chased butterflies with a net, her uneven black puffs bouncing. Noah, with sparse curly hair, babbled in a stroller nearby, his light brown skin flushed with warmth. "Mr. Jonathan," Lily called, waving her net. "Look, I caught one." Jonathan smiled, stepping into the yard. "You're a butterfly whisperer now." Emma looked up, brushing dirt from her hands. "She's been out here all morning," she said, her voice lighter than before. "First time I've seen her this happy." Jonathan nodded, his heart full. "It's a good start." Emma's eyes met his, a flicker of gratitude passing through. "You made this possible," she said. "I don't know how to repay you." Jonathan shook his head. "You don't owe me." "Emma." Lily's smile is enough. His phone buzzed a text from Dallas Jenkins, who'd been coordinating support through St. Augustine's Church. Volunteers dropped off more supplies, books, clothes, a tricycle for Noah. "You're changing lives." "Roumie." Jonathan replied, "Couldn't do it without you guys. Tell Shahar in Paris thanks." He turned to Emma. "The church sent more things. Noah's gonna love that tricycle." Lily overheard, racing over. "A tricycle. Can I push him?" Jonathan chuckled. Only if you don't race him into the fence. Emma stood, wiping her hands on her jeans. I got a call from the community center, she said, her voice tentative. They want me to speak at a panel, something about overcoming hardship. Me, talking to people. Jonathan's eyes lit up. That's huge. Emma. You've got a story worth telling, she shrugged, her bun swaying. I'm not a speaker. I don't know what I'd say. Jonathan leaned forward. You'd say the truth. That's more than enough. Before they could continue, a letter arrived in the mailbox, plain with no return address. Emma froze, her light brown face paling. It's not from him. Is it? She whispered, referring to Marcus. Jonathan grabbed it, his jaw tight. The handwriting was soft. Cursive, not Marcus's harsh scrawl. It's from someone else, he said, handing it to her. Emma opened it, her hands trembling, and read silently. Her eyes widened, tears forming. It's from my sister, Rachel, she said. Haven't seen her in 15 years. She's in Rochester now, works at a library, says she wants to meet. Jonathan's throat tightened. That's a gift. Emma. She nodded, folding the letter carefully. I thought I lost her forever. But I'm scared, what do I even say? Jonathan smiled. Maybe just, I missed you. Emma exhaled, her voice soft. Maybe... Lily ran over, clutching a butterfly sketch. Mama! Who's Rachel? Emma knelt, stroking Lily's puffs. Your aunt. My sister. We might see her soon. Lily's eyes brightened. Does she like butterflies that afternoon? Jonathan helped Emma draft a response to Rachel. They sat at the kitchen table, Noah napping in his crib, Lily coloring nearby. Emma's navy sweater sleeve slipped as she wrote, her words halting but honest. Rachel, I thought I'd never hear from you. I'm sorry I left. I've got kids now, Lily. 8 and Noah. 1, we're safe, thanks to a friend. I want to see you. She sealed it, her hands steadier. I'll mail it tomorrow, she said. Jonathan nodded. It's a brave step. Paul Reed called, his 50-year-old voice gruff through the phone. Marcus is locked up, facing charges stalking, assault. He's not getting out soon. Jonathan exhaled. Good. Any chance he'll come back? Paul's tone was firm. Not likely. We've got a restraining order in place, and he's under watch. Jonathan relayed the news to Emma, who sat rocking Noah. He's gone, she asked, her light brown face softening. For now, Jonathan said. You're free to build. That evening, Jonathan joined Dallas, Shahar, and Paras at St. Augustine's for a planning meeting. Dallas, a 50-year-old light-skinned man with short brown hair in a gray sweater, spread out a list of community programs. We've got counseling, job training, housing support lined up, he said. Shahar, a 35-year-old man with dark hair and a leather jacket, added. The church is starting a fund for families like Emma's. Paras, a 30-year-old man with short black hair and a black hoodie, grinned, and toys for Lily and Noah. Gotta keep the kids happy. Jonathan's heart swelled. You guys are amazing. Back at the safe house, Emma sat on the porch, Lily asleep inside, Noah in her arms. I was thinking, she said, her voice soft. Maybe I'll do that panel. Tell my story. Jonathan sat beside her, his cross necklace catching the moonlight. You'll change lives. Emma. She smiled faintly. You already did. The stars glittered above, and for the first time, the night felt gentle, a promise of healing taking shape.